They fired their only German speaker, then watched their Berlin client go dead silent on a $15 million deal. Sometimes the person you fire is the only thread holding your empire together. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Drop a comment below. What's the most shocking betrayal you've ever witnessed? Share your thoughts with our community. I thought I had it made at Henderson Associates, one of Chicago's most prestigious consulting firms. At 28, I was the youngest senior associate, fluent in 4 languages, and had just closed 3 major European deals. My corner office overlooked Lake Michigan, and my BMW sat pretty in the executive parking garage. But I had a problem. I refused to play politics. While my colleagues spent lunch hours gossiping about clients over sushi at Nobu, I actually worked. While they schmoozed at happy hour, I stayed late perfecting presentations. My direct approach and laser focus on results made me indispensable to clients, but it also made me enemies in the office. She thinks she's better than us, I'd hear Jessica from HR whisper during Starbucks runs. Always so serious, never joins our team lunches. What they didn't know was that my attitude problem was actually keeping the company's biggest client happy. Hoffman Industries, a $15 million account based in Berlin, specifically requested me for all their communications. My fluent German and understanding of European business culture had saved 3 deals that year alone. But corporate politics don't care about results. They care about who plays the game. And I was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Little did I know, my colleagues were already planning my downfall. It started with small things. My emails mysteriously disappeared from important chains. My meeting invites got lost. My assistant, Emma, suddenly became too busy to help with basic tasks. Then came the setup. During my quarterly review meeting, my manager, Rick Thompson, painted a picture of someone who wasn't a team player. He had carefully collected evidence, screenshots of me eating lunch alone, testimony from colleagues about my standoffish behavior, and twisted versions of my direct communication style. Sarah's technical skills are excellent, Rick said, his voice dripping with false concern. But culture fit is everything here at Henderson Associates. Our clients value relationship building, not just results. The irony was suffocating. I had built the strongest client relationship in the entire firm. Jessica from HR nodded sympathetically. We've received several complaints about Sarah's attitude. She doesn't participate in team-building activities, rarely joins office celebrations, and some clients have mentioned she seems intense. My mouth dropped open. Which clients? Hoffman Industries loves working with me. I've personally saved 3 of the deals this year. Well, Rick smiled coldly, that's exactly the problem. You've made yourself indispensable to one client instead of building relationships across our entire portfolio. That's not sustainable. I knew the meeting was a formality. They'd already decided. I walked out of that conference room knowing my days were numbered. When they came for me, I was ready, but not for the cruelty of it all. 2 weeks later, on a rainy Tuesday morning, I arrived to find my keycard deactivated. Security guard Mike, who'd always been friendly, wouldn't meet my eyes. I'm sorry, Miss Martinez. I need to escort you upstairs. The walk of shame felt eternal. Every colleague I passed suddenly found their computer screens fascinating. My personal items had already been packed into a cardboard box, my coffee mug from Prague, the succulent plant my mom gave me, and the photo of my graduation from Northwestern. Rick was waiting in the conference room with Jessica and a legal representative. The termination letter was already printed. We're restructuring the European division, Rick lied smoothly. Your position is being eliminated. This is nothing personal. What about Hoffman Industries? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside. They're expecting me to lead their Q4 presentation next week. We'll handle it internally, Jessica said dismissively. Rick has some German from college, and we have Google Translate. I almost laughed. Rick's German from college was beer ordering vocabulary from his semester abroad. These people were about to tank a $15 million relationship with the confidence of the truly ignorant. I'll need you to sign this non-disclosure agreement, the lawyer said, sliding papers across the table. And we'll need your company phone and laptop. As I signed away my right to warn Hoffman Industries, I wondered if Rick truly understood what he'd just done. Walking out of Henderson Associates for the last time, I had no idea I was about to become an audience to the most expensive mistake in the company's history. The first domino falls, and the sound echoes through glass towers. My phone buzzed at 6:47 a.m., exactly 3 days after my termination. Klaus Weber, Director of International Operations at Hoffman Industries, was calling my personal number. Sarah, mein Freund, I am very confused. Yesterday we had a call with your colleagues about the Q4 expansion project. It was. Klaus paused, searching for diplomatic words. It was not what we expected. My heart raced. I was legally bound by the NDA, but Klaus was calling me, not the other way around. I can't really discuss Henderson Associates business anymore, Klaus. I'm no longer with the company. You are no longer, but Sarah, you are our primary contact. We specifically requested you for all communications. This is most concerning. Klaus went on to describe the disaster. Rick had attempted to lead the presentation in broken German, mispronouncing key terms and completely misunderstanding Hoffman's cultural expectations. When the German executives politely switched to English, Jessica had interrupted multiple times with clarifications that showed a fundamental misunderstanding of the project scope. They asked us to circle back and take this offline to Ideate Solutions, Klaus said, his German accent making the corporate buzzwords sound even more ridiculous. Sarah, in 30 years of business, I have never been spoken to like this. It was, how do you say, insulting. The call that should have secured the Q4 expansion worth $15 million had ended with awkward silence and a promise to reconnect soon. As I hung up, I realized this was just the beginning of Henderson Associates' downfall. In the corporate world, silence is the loudest sound of all. For the next 2 weeks, I watched the destruction unfold from my apartment, fielding increasingly desperate calls from Hoffman Industries executives. Word spread through the tight-knit German business community like wildfire. Klaus called again. Sarah, I must tell you something. Hoffman Industries has decided to terminate our contract with Henderson Associates. The disrespect shown to our culture and business practices is unacceptable. But it got worse. Through my network of European contacts, I learned that Hoffman had warned other German companies about Henderson's cultural insensitivity and unprofessional conduct. The German business community, known for their long memories and strong relationships, began quietly blacklisting the Chicago firm. Meanwhile, Rick was in full panic mode. Emma called me secretly from the office bathroom. Sarah, it's chaos here. Rick has been calling Hoffman Industries every day, but they won't even take his calls. Our is freaking out because word is spreading to other European clients. Jessica keeps asking if anyone else speaks German. The beautiful irony wasn't lost on me. They'd fired me for not being a team player, but I had been the team. I was the bridge between two cultures, the translator of more than just words, and the guardian of relationships worth millions. Rick had traded my expertise for office politics and was now discovering that Google Translate couldn't fix destroyed trust. Cliffhanger, but my story was far from over. The German business community was about to teach Henderson Associates a lesson they'd never forget. When reputation crumbles, it takes everything with it. The email arrived on a Thursday morning, copied to the entire Henderson Associates leadership team. I knew because Klaus forwarded it to me, not for gossip, but as a professional courtesy. Notice of contract termination, Hoffman Industries. The language was formal, cold, and devastating. Hoffman Industries was not only terminating their $15 million contract but also invoking the penalty clause for failure to provide agreed-upon services, an additional $3 million hit. But Klaus wasn't finished. Within 48 hours, 3 other major European clients had quietly terminated the contracts. Bavarian Manufacturing, Alpine Technologies, and Rhineland Logistics, all worth millions, all connected through the German business network, all now former clients of Henderson Associates. My phone rang. It was my former colleague, David Chen, calling from his car. Sarah, I need to tell you something, and I need you to know it's not coming from the company. Rick is having daily meltdowns. He's tried everything, sending gift baskets, writing apology letters, even booking a flight to Berlin. But no one will take his meetings. David's voice dropped to a whisper. Yesterday, he asked Jessica if she could find your contact information. Not to rehire you, they're too proud for that, but to see if you'd consult on salvaging the relationships. Off the books, of course. I laughed, a sound that held no humor. Let me guess, they want to pay me a fraction of what I was making to fix the multi-million-dollar mess they created by firing me. Exactly. And Sarah, there's something else. The partners are asking questions. Big questions. About Rick's decision-making, about the hiring practices, about how this happened. As I hung up, I realized that Rick's betrayal was about to destroy more than just my career. Sometimes the best revenge is simply watching the truth unfold. 6 months later, I sat in my new office at Muller Associates, a German-American consulting firm that had recruited me specifically for my European expertise. My signing bonus alone was more than my annual salary at Henderson Associates. The call came on a Wednesday. Emma, my former assistant, now working at a competitor firm. Sarah, I thought you should know. Henderson Associates is closing the European division. Rick was let go last month. They're facing a class action lawsuit from investors over the lost European contracts. The numbers were staggering. The loss of Hoffman Industries had triggered a domino effect that cost Henderson Associates over $47 million in lost revenue and penalties. The firm's reputation in European markets was permanently damaged. But the most beautiful part, I didn't have to lift a finger. I'd simply been myself, professional, competent, and culturally aware. My former colleagues had destroyed themselves through their own ignorance and office politics. Klaus Weber had become more than a client, he was now a friend and mentor. At our quarterly dinner at the Publican, he raised his glass of Riesling. "Sarah, you know what the best part of this story is? They thought they were firing an employee. They actually fired their entire European future." I smiled, thinking about Rick's desperation calls, Jessica's panicked emails, and the beautiful silence that had followed my departure. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply being excellent at what you do and letting small minds reveal themselves. My phone buzzed with a text from my new CEO, "Sarah, just closed the Frankfurt deal. Your cultural insights were invaluable. Bonus incoming." In corporate America, they say culture fit matters more than competence. But when a $15 million relationship crumbles because you valued conformity over capability, the market teaches you that some fits are worth more than others. I learned that my value wasn't determined by office politics, it was determined by results. And sometimes, the most beautiful revenge is simply being irreplaceable to people who matter.